Hey cruisers and future cruisers, welcome back to the channel. We've got a great video for you today, especially if you're a first-time cruiser or a new cruiser. Today we're going to be going over tips for boarding day. So if you're not sure exactly what it is you're going to need to do or bring with you to have a successful boarding, stick around. Alright guys, so if you didn't know, this is Amy from Amy's Turnkey Travel. She's actually the travel agent of the pair of us. I do the filming, she does the travel agenting. So today, we're going to be interviewing Amy to find out what it is you need to do to have a successful boarding day experience and get on your cruise ship with the least amount of stress possible so you can start enjoying your vacation. Alright Amy, so what is the first thing you think that somebody going on a cruise needs to do?
Don't miss the ship. Know what time you're supposed to be on that ship. So you've already checked in, you've selected your boarding time, and now I want you to add 30 minutes of travel time to get there. So you don't know if there's going to be accidents. You don't know if the port's going to be backed up with the thousands of people coming in. If you have kids, you don't know if you're going to have a potty break or 5. So you want to make sure you have enough time to get to the port.
That is an excellent point. So something to consider is that you're not the only one going to the ship, right? There's like another 3,000 to 6,000 people just going to your ship. And if you're going to a busier port like the Port of Miami, there could be multiple ships in port with people leaving, people coming, and Miami is already known to be a traffic hell. So having that extra time, that's obviously seems obvious and simple, but it is huge and it's saved us before on travels. So that's a great way to start this off with, an easy one to follow. Okay, so we followed her instructions, we've got to the port early, we're actually on time, and we're good to go. So now that I'm here, what is it I need to have to be able to go and board this ship successfully with the least amount of problems?
So you're going to make sure that you have your boarding documents with you. You do not want to leave them with your checked luggage with the porter. And your boarding documents, you're going to be your boarding pass, whether it's your set sail pass, express pass to get onto the ship. And then you also want to have your documentation. So if you don't have a passport, you're going to want to make sure you have birth certificates and you have your government issued photo ID that matches that birth certificate information. So that's very important to have the correct boarding documents to get on board.
Yeah, it's a great point about having your stuff in your carry-on, because man, would it be terrible for your baggage to make it on the ship, but then you can't get in yourself. So yeah, great point there. So talking about documents. So I know you've had clients that have asked you questions or that have had certain circumstances where they needed more documentation than normal. So what are some instances where people might need more documentation than others?
The biggest one we have is if you just got married, or even if you just got a divorce, the last name is changed. If you're a blended family and you are bringing kids that don't have the same last name as you want to make sure you have the documentation to show either your marriage license, maybe even divorce license. If you're traveling with one parent, maybe you need a document from the mom or dad, the person who's not there, saying, yes, my child can go on this cruise, things like that.
And it's really interesting on the children's side of the house, at least, because what we found is it's kind of up to the port agent, right? Like some of them ask for this letter that's notarized saying that you can take this child without the other parent present, and some of them don't even ask. We've had it before where a port agent just walked up to our child and was like, hey, who are they? And the kid said mom and dad, and they were like, okay, well, good enough. We always err on the side of let's have all the documentation and not need it, instead of let's need it and not have it.
Right, because if you don't have the right documentation, they can deny boarding and you have to go home and you don't get your money back for it.
And a great way to think about the marriage license and the divorce thing is basically a chain. We need a chain showing what your name currently is and how you got there. So if it was because you got married, you need a marriage license to show how you got to that name from your birth certificate or your passport if it differs. Or if you got divorced and your license shows a different name, you can have that divorce decree to show that way. So just make sure you have a chain showing how you got from one name to the other if your name doesn't match your ID. So I know a lot of these cruise lines now have these awesome mobile apps, but like everything, we tend to run into some issues with certain apps from certain cruise lines, which we're not going to drop names here, right? But let's say there was an issue with the app and I lost my boarding pass. Well, now what do I do?
I always have my clients take a screenshot or advise them to take a screenshot in case that happens. I also have them, if they're especially going overseas or even on a trip, take a picture of either your license or your passport in case something happens. You have it on your phone, and generally your phone is with you. But you can also show them online the boarding pass, and they can complete the information at the service desk if that does happen to you.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, and obviously, if you want to go a little even more old school than that, you can print it out ahead of time. All right, so thanks to these tips, we've made it on the ship. It's boarding day. We're excited. We're ready to drink a pina colada. But before we get there, what do we need to bring in our carry-on? I don't think we've talked about that yet.
Now, it's personal preference. If you have a carry-on or if you check your luggage, a lot of people will bring a backpack. So if you don't have a carry-on, you bring a personal item in a backpack. Once again, you need your boarding documents in there. If you have any medications, pack your medications. If you know you're going to hit up the pool deck first thing, have your bathing suit. You can even wear your bathing suit if you want to, but make sure you're covered up. I always recommend taking at least one change of clothes just in case something happens to your luggage or something even to freshen up with, because your luggage might not get to your stateroom until like 8 o'clock that night.
8 o'clock at night, man. And you know, and I gotta tell you, most of the time we've had pretty good luck with our luggage, but we have had it later than 8 o'clock at night. That's just when they're shooting for. And sometimes your luggage gets lost and you have to go claim it down at guest services. I actually remember a time where luggage fell off the ship into the water. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Thankfully it wasn't our luggage, but yeah, we actually had passengers on our ship where all of their luggage fell off the ship into the port and the water got soaked and ruined.
The gates on the luggage carrier actually came unlocked as they were going onto the ship and flopped into the ocean.
So all of their stuff was lost. Obviously the cruise line gave them some credit for some free clothes and some port shopping, but I wouldn't want to chance that either. You might as well have a second change of clothes. So Amy, that's another great pro tip. Let's keep it rolling. All right, so what would you say, we're at the port there, what is our next pro tip? Something that you may not think about on your first cruise.
So a couple of things. When you're dropping off your luggage, your checked luggage with the porters, it's customary to give them a tip, and it's up to you on how much you want to tip them, but cash tips is an important thing even before you start the boarding process.
So porters are these guys who are typically dressed in like white short sleeve button down shirts and like a safari hat. I have no idea why they wear safari hats. If you know why they wear safari hats, let us know in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious. But you'll pull up, they actually take your luggage from you and they put them on carts, and then they carefully, or not so carefully, put it on the ship for you. So they're the ones actually handling your luggage. So typically, I tend to tip in cash, and I tip the porters because I'm wanting them to, one, treat my luggage better, and two, maybe they know which cart gets picked first and gets put on the ship first, so we get our luggage first. I don't know, that just makes me feel good. It's probably not the case. However, tipping them in cash is very easy, and we have yet to find a porter, and we sail a lot, that has Venmo or PayPal that they accept. They all want cash tips. So just bring a small cash tip, whatever you feel is right for you, to tip your porter, give you that extra little confidence that your bags are gonna be okay. All right, so before we move on to our fifth and final tip for this video, this isn't all your tips for boarding day, right?
No, it's not. So if you ever have any questions, you can always contact me here for my email, or you can simply just book a cruise with me. So all of my clients receive lots of lists, lots of information so that they are prepared for their cruise, and they can start their vacation stress-free, knowing everything they need to do.
I like it. All right, so the final pro tip for this video. What is this pro tip before we even get to the port? I'm curious.
Completing the muster drill. So many cruise lines now have their muster drills on the apps. Everybody's got an app, the muster drills are on the app. I always advise my clients, and we do it too, while you're in the car, bus, plane, on the way there, if you can connect and watch those videos, watch them and you can check them off. That way, once you've made it through the boarding process, you are on the ship and everybody's asking you, what's your muster station? You can show them and you can show up to your muster station, they can scan it and you're good to go. Otherwise, if you have not watched those videos, then you have to stand there old school wise and have them demonstrate and do the full demonstration and watch the videos before you can start having fun.
Yeah, that's a great point and actually a great pro tip. However, one caveat to this situation is going to be that some cruise lines make you be connected to the ship Wi-Fi, right? Before you can actually go through and do your muster drills and your health questionnaires. Am I right with that?
Right. And if you do have to be connected to the Wi-Fi, generally once you get into the port area and you've scanned your boarding pass and you're waiting to get on, you can connect to the Wi-Fi and start watching those videos as well. So by the time you walk up the gangway and you arrive on the ship, you're ready to go.
So you're saying once I've gone through security, scanned my luggage, and I'm going through that rope line back and forth waiting for my chance to check in, I can do the muster drill there as well?
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect. And if you didn't know, the muster drill here virtually is replacing those old drills where everyone used to stand like front to back, super tight with life vest on, you know, like it was 1912 and we're preparing for the Titanic. You no longer have to do that anymore. That's probably one of the few good things that came out of the pandemic. So luckily you can do that virtually. And those are the 5 quick tips that we wanted to give you for boarding day. But if you're curious about more boarding tips, please reach out to Amy, let her know. She's going to be happy to help you guys out. And remember, she doesn't charge a fee. So if you're curious about booking a cruise and having somebody like her manage your cruise for you and make sure that you're going to have the best stress-free vacation with the best deal, then reach out to Amy and we'll put up a QR code right here for you guys to see. And if you're interested in more cruise content, don't forget to watch another one of our videos right here.